All right.
Awesome, guys. All right, so here we are. I'm Jake. I'm here with LeDerick and Nancy, who's the founder of a beautiful dyslexic school out in Kenya. And we're here just to talk a little bit about how this global virus is not only impacting us over here in America, but also what's going on in Kenya, and looking at it from another way, the amazing work that Nancy and her sister's doing. Her name's Phyllis. She's going to jump on here shortly. And we're just going to talk about just all things dyslexia, ADHD, LD, and just get it going. So, Derek.
Yeah, so and maybe just as a little bit of context, Jake and I are both friends of the school. I've had an opportunity actually last year to travel out to Kenya and to visit the Raregem Talent School. Nancy and I guess, have known each other for about 3 years. First couple of years of that have been just us sort of chatting on Facebook. But I did a closing keynote for the International Dyslexia Association's conference. I guess it was 2 years ago, and we got to meet face to face. She's come and stayed here at the house, and part of her visits to the U.S. With me and my partner, and I consider her a dear friend. And so I think Jake and I both, we've become champions for the school, and concerned about just how this virus is affecting Nancy's school. And I know schools all over the U.S. are closing. So Nancy, and then I guess when Phyllis joins us, maybe you can just tell us maybe a little bit about the school and then just what you guys are facing now.
Well, that's good, Jake and LeDerick, and I appreciate, and I'm very happy for you to be our friends in championing what's happening and appreciating our work. It's a noble thing. You're great friends to us. So the situation in Kenya, it's really devastating. All the schools are closed from kindergarten to university. Other students, university students, are going on with their learning on e-learning, those who are on electronic learning. But I'm afraid that students, not just children with regular, with dyslexia or ADHD, or children with learning specific learning difficulties, have problems with the e-learning. But even the neurotypical student, not every student can able to access e-learning in the country.
Right.
There has been directive of how we can get access e-learning on being given by Ministry of Education and curriculum developer, but not everyone can be able to access that. But my greatest worry is that children with learning difficulties are not featuring anywhere in this. So my students, where they are at home, even if they are able to access learning with e-learning, then the learning that has been given, it's not giving differentiation and accommodation like what we do in our school. We use the same curriculum, but we modify it to fit the children's pace of learning. So individual pace of learning. So that cannot happen, and has not happened with what is being provided now in e-learning. So my greatest challenge is my students, wherever they are at home, they are not accessing learning whatsoever.
Wow.
And Phyllis, I see you just joined us. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I disappeared. My net gave me a problem. I've changed now to my phone.
Okay.
And it is
All
even
right,
clear.
So Nancy just kind of gave us an update about the challenges that are going on in Kenya in the schools, and particularly when it comes to providing academic support online for students with learning and attention issues. Do you have anything you want to add about how things are going and what you're seeing? So Phyllis, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm having challenges with my net, but now I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe Nancy has given you the challenges that they are with her teaching the children with learning problems. But generally, I think for all the learners in Kenya, if Nancy is having the challenges of her teaching her children with learning difficulties, we have the challenges basically for many children who cannot access that learning material that is being provided in the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's
yeah, go ahead.
No, Jake, you go ahead.
I was going to say, thank you guys for sharing this. I know that over here in America, it's, we are dealing with this now with, kids are home and teachers are having to adjust. But, over there in Kenya, you guys are already doing such revolutionary work. And it's incredibly inspiring. But now it's getting to a point where your kids, your students that are coming from all over the country are now going back home. And the biggest challenge here is access to proper technology to allow them to continue the education online.
That's true, Jake.
Yeah. So with that being said, what are some of the steps that, like, what's happening? Like, how are these students going to be able to learn, or are they just going to have to be on pause until this gets resolved?
Unfortunately, yes.
What I am foreseeing, Jake and LeDerick, is a huge gap that is going to be there. That when we were given this notice, like the children should go back home, we were not prepared. We were not completely prepared for them. So we never even prepared for their work to carry home. So we are just like, we allowed them to go home with nothing. So there was like no preparation for homework. I am receiving questions from the parents what we should do, but bearing in mind that our children are scattered in the whole country, and some of them are in a very low level of learning. So even if we give them the homework, we use modified and accommodation. We modify their learning and we teach them at their own pace.
Wow.
So what I'm thinking is by the time they come back, we shall have a huge gap. They benefit so much on face-to-face. And if we had good technology, we could maybe access them through the internet, where we would use WhatsApp, where we would use Facebook. But now it is not happening because not all of them are able have WhatsApp, have network. So, and even laptop and computers. Some of the parents are not even can't afford smartphone.
Right.
Mm.
We are at that situation.
Yeah, and just as some background for the people who are watching, I know for the better part of this year, I've been talking a lot about the Raregem Talent School, but the school that you have there is a boarding school, so you have students from all over the country of Kenya,
yes.
who are coming there, and many of them staying there. And as soon as I guess the shutdown happened, they all sort of went back home. And I've been, I have friends that and relationships with people who I'm associated with who have schools here in the U.S. And I think for many of them, it was sort of, okay, we're closing the doors. And then they had to put together homework packets and have the families come and pick that stuff up or what have you. But all of that is us relying upon an infrastructure that I don't think a lot of us really appreciate, right? Like the electricity that's always on, internet access, mobile devices.
Computers in the school.
Yeah, and I know in visiting the Raregem, part of the reason why I'm so amazed and such a supporter of the work you guys are doing is in part because you're able to do so much for the students with learning and attention issues in your country, but with very little, right? Like, how many students are in the school currently? How many students do you have? I think there were
about 200.
Yeah, and I remember seeing the computer lab, and there was only a few computers, 2 or 3 computers that were available. So one of the questions I have is just, beyond the challenges that the students are facing with, the digital divide and what have you, how is it for your educators, for the teachers that you have, for you as the head of the school, how is just all of this for you?
Wow, about the access to computers and the network. Okay, at the school we have network, but the teachers do not have internet at home. So the challenge of internet is it's everywhere. Even if internet is provided at school, and remember, we can't gather here at school because it's one of the directives that we should not be seen gathering. So therefore, the teachers are supposed to work from home, and sometimes they don't even have internet. They have to come and do their work here, and then probably send it to the parents, like we have done a few cases. But then, depending on the learning needs of each and individual child, we can't do an umbrella work and say this is for this class.
Right.
So each and every student in their own grades, they are supposed to be given individual work. So the teachers are supposed to sit down, work on that specific work and send it. But then the challenge is the internet, even the parents having laptops or even computers where the children, the parents having the laptops where children can learn from. We still have that challenge. Only a few who have asked, bearing in mind those who are asking, they are the people who have the laptops. Quite a majority have not even bothered to talk about it.
Right.
Because of course, the internet is a challenge and the computer is a challenge, and also teaching their own students, their own children. They don't know how to teach their own children.
Of course, yeah.
And I think it's a big wake-up call too for families, not just in Kenya, but around the world.
Yes, I think it is that I was thinking about it. Yes, it is a wake-up call, Jake. I agree that like now in the whole world, I think there will be a huge gap of learning. The students who are learning this year in 2020, there is going to be a huge gap. And now the most disadvantaged are those with some learning issues.
Right. And I think too, parents, again, like what I was saying about earlier, parents not just in Kenya but around the world are realizing for the first time they have a chance to see their children in an academic setting, like
yes.
in actually working. Now, usually parents will just see their kids doing homework, the aftermath, the crying, all the stuff that happens after they come home from school. But now that they're actually seeing their kids working, they're realizing not just the amount of respect they have for teachers, I'm sure, because of how hard it is for them to even teach their own children. But now it's like, all right, parents have to work at home and watch their kids and make sure their kids are focusing on their assignments. So this is much bigger than even what we realize in America. It's we're realizing just how much we take even just going to school for granted.
Yeah,
even you take the parents taking teachers for granted.
Yes.
They don't know what happens at school, and now they have their own children. They don't know what to do with them for the 8 hours or 6 hours that the children spend at school. So I advise my parents that at this particular time, it's time for boarding and also teaching, training the children on skills, not to just go on books, not to think about books, because this has been always there when the children come to school. But when they are at home, there's those skills that they are supposed to be trained on, just like a small activity like lighting a gas cooker.
Right.
How to light it, how to put it off.
Right.
How to even boil an egg. How to arrange their clothes. How to make their own bed. Because some of these things we teach them at school, but the parents have never had time to teach them.
Right.
I actually advise the parents to send their house helps home back home to their own home so that they can have time for their children at this God-given time. That's why I call it. They have never had time to stay with their children, and now they have been presented forcibly to stay with their children. So they spend this time very well with their children.
Right. And you know that's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
I want to just repeat what you just said, because we don't stop. Humans don't stop. I mean,
They don't stop.
It's remarkable. We are the most complex species. We don't stop. So the fact that we're all stopping now is, for some people, it's very uncomfortable. You know, I see a lot of parents on social media posting like multiple times an hour, and I'm like, your kids are home. Like, now's a chance for us to ask our kids questions. Let's say our kids like to play basketball, like to play a sport or dance or sing or whatever that is. Let's join them. Let's ask them to teach us what they like. Let's empower them to do something, to have them teach us something. And this is our chance to really bond with our kids at a time when when was the last time the world stopped like this, for a chance for you to bond with your child for the whole day during the week, the work week, before they graduate college? That's not happening. So
if it has ever stopped, Jake, it is not in our generation.
Right.
In our generation, we've not known world stopping. So if it has ever stopped, it was before, not in our generation.
Right.
And if this thing is over, then it's going to pick its own speed the way it was, and it's not going to stop again. So I feel that this time is time where parents should bond with their children.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's not about, yes, we have to be learning. We have to be teaching our kids. But like what you just said, the most valuable lessons are going to come from these life experiences, are going to come from learning how to fold your clothes, learning how to do the most basic things, but learning how to cook, learning how to interact. And on top of that, and a chance for us to learn confidence as well. So I think that's so important, and I love that you just shared that.
Yeah, you know, the other thing I'm thinking about is just mindfulness, right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
The need for stress reduction, because I think one of the things that, and I'm seeing it on the internet too, in Facebook and what have you, one of the things that I think is also being missed with the challenge of trying to work from home and also educate your kids from home is that this is all happening while there's so much uncertainty about this pandemic, about our economy, right? And it's hard to be that mindful when there are all these external stresses. But I can also just see, like, you know, taking the opportunity, like there's something like extremely zen about boiling an egg, right? Or about, you know, taking the time to garden. I know, like, I'm surrounded, I'm in my living room right now, and I'm surrounded by all these house plants. And, you know, one of the activities I did earlier this week was just repotting plants and, you know, just
connecting,
doing what I could to try to in a very mindful way, not worry about things that I don't have any control over to a certain degree. But those are also activities that you can involve with the young people in your family. And truth be told, I mean, like, I think when many of us reflect back on our childhoods, you know, some of the things that we remember the most are probably those little moments with our families, you know, where we were able to do something.
That's it.
Right, relatively small, but it taught us a life lesson that we were able to carry on, you know, into our adulthood.
Absolutely.
I'm correcting the silver lining that we'll be left with after Corona is gone. And I've had quite a number of people making comments. I actually posted that on my Facebook page, and I've gotten quite a number of comments, and I've picked one here. Parents that will have time to bond with have had time to bond with their children, and they are teaching them. It is now them that if it is going to be left now, parents valuing teachers again, that's something that is going to be left with us. Parents have seen what it takes to have the kids with them for 8 hours, for 5 hours, and they've only have them for half a day. And some are saying that if scientists don't find the treatment for corona, parents will, because they can't stand having their children with
Break
them.
down.
Yeah, they're already breaking down. So that's again a positive thing, maybe about this virus. It's something that is teaching us something.
Yeah, and I know we have to look out for each other,
Yeah.
like the importance of social distancing and not being in big crowds. And I understand all that, but I live across the street from my brother. I'm very blessed that way. And he's got a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old who he has at home all day. So I, as a brother and an uncle, will give him a break every so often and have the kids come over so that he can just breathe and clean up and, and not have
about that, LeDerick, earlier.
Yeah, not have to deal with, with all that. And, one of the things that I found that's been really nice is I've had people just sort of check in with me, who I haven't heard from in years. And I think this is part of how we get through this, right? Is seeing how everyone's doing. And the other thing that I encourage all of us to do is to be honest, right? If someone asks you how you're doing and you having a rough time, say you're having a rough time, and feel free to take that opportunity to talk to each other. Now is not the time to be putting on airs or acting like you're not having a rough time when you are. Right. Like if you need to talk about it, talk about it. And just make sure that we're doing all that we can to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, and that's like when I do big keynotes and things like that, and particularly when I get an opportunity to do workshops with parents, one of the big things I always push is you can't be there for your kids if you're not taking care of yourself. Right. And, and so like whatever it is that you have to do to make sure that you're cared for, whether it be, trying to come up with a workout routine at home or what have you, just making sure you take care of yourself. Nancy and Phyllis, I think we're just about at our time. I know I have a really good friend who has offered to build a website, and he started working on that over the weekend so that people can do donations to help support the Raregem Talent School. I'm just wondering as we close, is there anything anyone out there that's listening can do, or any support that they can provide, any way that they can help, or any words of wisdom maybe you just want to leave with the people who are watching this?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, LeDerick. And I want to have this parting shot. Like I always say, you don't remember your parents so much because of so many toys they bought for you, but that little time they took to stay with you and to train you on some skills that you would not learn from any other person. So that is the memory that you still cling on. That's the memory that you still have. So if the parents take time to have something to give to their children to remember them, not because they bought so many toys, not because they took them to parties and to Disney World, but it's because of what they have learned from them, what they have learned, the skills they have learned from them. And this is the message to the student, to the Raregem parents that I have, and to everybody out there.
All right. How about you, Phyllis?
About you asked about the website would be something that you would want to put on the website for to talk to. Well, I guess that caught me off guard, but I would say that whatever help that someone can do for children who are in Kenya and basically in Africa that have with learning difficulties, we call the accommodations that we can get and support that accommodation, would be glad to have it.
Right. And also for those of you watching, having learning challenges isn't just an American problem. This is a global problem.
Yes.
And
it is not. Okay. Basically what I say, it is, sorry, but we said learning challenges, especially dyslexia, people look at it like a white person's problem. But now we are bringing it home that actually it is not a white person's problem. It is a human problem, that it is a cutting across. We have a white name for a name for white people. We call them Mzungu. So it's not a Mzungu problem. It is a Kenyan, and it is a global problem. Like, yeah, basically like what the haze now we are having right now. The corona is still again.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I am willing to bet that the lab that is able to figure out this vaccine, there will probably be someone who's dyslexic
With
or has
dyslexia.
ADHD,
I love
who
that.
is you know, who struggled
Yes.
through school but is a genius and is the one who's able to figure out
If
how
there,
to get us.
if there's
how to
one
get us
person
out
that
of-
knows, if there's someone that knows how to go through adversity, it's someone with dyslexia or ADHD.
Yeah, you know,
Yes.
I have a friend who's a therapist, and he works with basically folks with executive functioning issues, ADHD, and people who have gone through pretty bad traumas. And one of his comments to me is that he said these folks with ADHD are like locked in right now. You know, like they're able to deal with sort of the tactical awareness, you know, on a day-to-day basis. To get through this, and the ones who are having a real hard time are the soccer moms. You know, like, you know, the school is gone, all the activities are gone.
Right.
All
Now what?
So now it's like, how do we deal with this? But yeah, but I have a lot of faith in our community, and yeah, and I think, you know, and I say it all the time, disability, if that's how we want to frame this, it's a part of what it is to be human. And I think at this time we're all really conscious that, yeah, like all of us, and at least that's where we should be thinking, right? Like we're all going through this together. And it's part of the reason why, you know, Jake reached out and, you know, we had this opportunity for us to kind of have a global conversation today, you know, about just this is impacting folks here, both in the US, but also being able to hear from you guys there in Kenya. Jake, you want to maybe close us out?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, everyone for watching, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and just learning more about how this virus is impacting dyslexic ADHD communities around the world. Nancy and Phyllis, thank you for being leaders and pioneers in this space, driving the charge over there in Africa. And if there's one thing I want to leave with everyone, it's to think about the fact that every human being has a brain, but no human being has the same mind. Every human being has a brain. No human being has the same mind. All of us learn differently. Neurodiversity, this is amazing work. Everyone, let's be strong together. We're a community, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And I think, Nancy, you just have one last thing did you want to mention before we jump off?
Now, I'm saying that I'm quoting you on that, what you said. I'm putting it on your quote. Everybody
Good
has
thing you'll be able to see
brains,
this
but
on
not the same
Facebook very
mind.
shortly.
Yes, I love that, Jake.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for jumping on. I kind of liked how this is working out. Maybe we'll jump on again.
True.
Yes, we have a lot of work to do.
This is a good time for me.
Yeah.
All
right, guys. Stay healthy over there.
Keep safe.
Yes, and
Clean your hands.
keep safe. And my last one is
Yes.
everybody has virus except you.
Yes, that's what you got to
You get
do. Right?
that? Everybody has virus except you. So take care of yourself.
Wow, that's intense.
Say everybody. Say hi to partners.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Love you
Bye.
guys.